The popular narrative about feeling behind is that you are not actually behind. It's just that some people make faster progress in some chapters than others, and you are just comparing yourself to someone who is faster right now. So to visualize it, it would look something like this. You have two people, and someone's making really fast progress, you're making slow progress, then you are making fast progress, they're making slow progress, and in the end, it all averages out, you know? So don't be so insecure. Don't compare yourself to others so much. And then it will all be alright, because at the end, it all averages out. And there are two problems with this perspective. The first problem is that the instructions from this perspective are extremely vague. Be less insecure is not a really good command, because what's don't be insecure supposed to mean? Like, I wake up and then I do what? No one knows. And when a command is shit, it's typically not the one who follows the commands who is at fault, but the one who gives those commands. And I can promise you, the people who give those types of commands basically don't know what they're talking about, but they just say it because it's societally accepted to say so. And everyone is supposed to already understand what that means. So they just say, well, go figure it out. You already know what don't be insecure means, right? And the second problem with this narrative is that it is anti-true. So it is not only false, but an inversion of reality. So although it is true that some people make faster progress in some areas than others, it does not at all average out. As a matter of fact, the differences actually get larger. So the accurate visualization is not that you make slower progress, someone makes faster progress, then you make faster progress and they make slower progress. It's that the speed of progress changes, but the differences get larger. And so the fact that different chapters have different speeds is completely irrelevant, given that overall lives tend to diverge and not converge. People tend to get more different over time and not more similar. And so, what is the reality about feeling behind? I can tell you this. You feel behind in two circumstances. The first circumstance is the really obvious one. It's when you are behind. When you know that you are not really, compared to your peers, doing very well. This is the obvious circumstance in which you feel behind. And because it's so obvious, we will not focus on this one. Like, if you scroll for 5 hours a day and then expect not to feel behind, then clearly your expectations are wrong. The other circumstance in which you may feel behind is not one where you are objectively behind others, but when you operate below your natural capacity. What does that mean? Well, we all have different capacities for different things. Like, we all have a capacity to delay gratification. We all have a capacity to sacrifice. We all have a capacity to work. We all have a capacity to pay attention to our diet. We all have capacity to recover from workouts. We all have different capacities, right? And what happens when you feel behind is that although you may be ahead of others, you notice that you are operating at half your capacity or less. So in other words, you are doing less than you know you should, and more importantly, can do. So let me give you an example. You have two people. The first person is really, really big, has a lot of muscles, is more fit than, let's say, 99%. That person is objectively ahead of basically everyone when it comes to fitness. But when that person all of a sudden starts to half do everything, like half do workouts, half do diet, half do sleep, and they half do everything, then they will start to feel behind, even though they are ahead of basically everyone, and even though they may still be making progress. Because their mind and body and even soul know that they are operating at half of their actual capacity, they will start to feel behind. And so, feeling behind is not so much a reality of being behind, it's the emotion that warns you that you are operating below your capacity. Right? And this can be evidenced further by the second person, who may be extremely skinny and not feel behind, because after a great workout, who feels behind? And so the skinny person who has had an amazing workout, is operating at their capacity. And so they will not feel behind. They will feel as if they are moving ahead. And so even though they may objectively be behind, if you have the feeling that you are making progress and that you are moving forward and that you are putting in the work, that you are delaying gratification, that you are putting in the sacrifices, you will not feel behind. No matter which position you're on, you will not feel behind if you put in the work, if you do the sacrifices, if you operate at your capacity. You know, that capacity expands, but what matters is not whether your capacity is large or small, but whether you are operating at it. If you are not, and if your capacity is large, then you will feel behind. If your capacity is small and you are operating at that capacity, you will not feel behind. You will feel as though you are making progress. And if your capacity is small and you are still operating at half your capacity, well, then life is really bad. And so, in order to not feel behind, we just have to put in the work, put in the sacrifices, put in the effort, and not half do everything. Because when we half do everything, then no matter at which position we're at, we will start to feel behind. Because feeling behind is a warning. If you continue on this way, that's how you are going to feel. You know, basically every emotion that there is a warning. It's not so much a diagnosis, it's a warning. And feeling behind is the warning that you are about to fall off because you operate at half your capacity. You may still be making progress because, you know, results are delayed because you still have some momentum left. But if you start to feel behind, it's a warning that you know that you aren't doing what you should be doing. And so what are the solutions? The solutions are the following. You either remind yourself that you need to operate at your capacity and that you essentially need to work harder. You take a break of, let's say, a week. You take a week off and then you return. Although it sounds a bit counterintuitive, sometimes just taking a break works. Like if you had been working on something for very intensely for 6 months, then taking a week off is completely okay. And then you just continue. Or maybe this is the most difficult solution. Maybe you're just working on the wrong things. Like maybe you're half doing things in some area because actually you don't really care about that area, but you care about another area. So you may half do your workouts, not necessarily because you're lazy and because you need to be reminded to work hard again, but because you may actually care about something else like business, relationships, health. Maybe you care about those things actually, and so half doing the fitness stuff is actually a symptom that you need to change your priorities. And so, to not feel behind anymore, one must operate at one's actual capacity. And in order to do so, one must just take a break, or just remind oneself to work harder, or if all fails, listen to oneself what really the goal is, and then follow that goal. This is how you stop feeling behind. And so, meine Skill, my goal is to inspire 10,000 good decisions. If this video helped you, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.